Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Now, I'm just going to tell you guys that I'm sitting here and I haven't developed any script. I haven't even thought about exactly what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to rant on here for a few minutes. I'm going to tell you, we've seen an awful lot of disasters lately. Whether it's hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, rampant diseases running through our population, the governments on earth trying to pump money out left and right and creating situations within the financial system, all of this coming together, it almost feels like, for us, the general population, it almost feels like we got to duck and run underneath something because the sky's falling here, there, and everywhere. But it's a multiplicity of problems that have been raining down on us, like one after another after another. I can't tell you guys all. Right now, it's in China. The power's going out everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. And these manufacturing companies that manufacture everything from nuts to bolts, all the parts that we use over here in the West to keep our machinery running and everything. It's just basically China's shutting down right now. Think about this. You got all these harvesters and things that work on these farms, tractors, not just tractors, big harvesters, John Deere this and John Deere that, and all these different equipments that work on the farms across North America. Well, what happens when their tractor breaks? Well, they go into the parts store, they order the part, they put the new part on the machine. They got workshops, big workshops in these big farms, Sometimes a big workshop might have 20 or 30 different mechanics working in there. So they got the big harvester. They pull it up on the machine. They want to take a look and see what's going on. They find the parts missing, so they got to order the part. Generally, it comes from China, the part they need, because China's taken over the responsibility for the whole world of creating all these parts and pieces to keep the world running. This is going to have a knock-on effect, not now, because they still have lots of parts inventories in these different companies that sell parts. They still got inventory, right? But they're going to start run out of inventory a few months from now, caused by what's happening now in China with the lights going out in all these factories. So you got this big harvester I told you about. They take it in for mechanical repairs. Maybe it needs some sort of new rotor or something, some sort of new gizmo attachment on, and it's broken on the wheelbase or whatever, and they got it up on the ramps, and they ordered a part. Say this is a couple months from now, and they say, well, you're going to have a 16-week delay or whatever on getting that particular part. So what do they got to do? They got to put the machine over in the corner and park it there until they get the part. Well, that means they're not going to be able to harvest the corn. Moving down into the future, like 8 months or 10 months from now, because that part was broken down and they couldn't harvest that corn, it's going to yield food shortages ultimately. And this is going to make food prices go up. Doesn't mean that we're going to have no food. It means that you're going to see the prices double and triple and quadruple as everything else is inflating too. Looking out 2 years from now, or a year and a half from now, these food shortages that's going to be caused by what's happening right now, trickling down 6 months from now, and then 8 months out, and 10 months out, and 12 months out, is going to start to crimp on the people. Food insecurity. They can't feed their children or whatever. And this is when people really start to get upset. They're not going to get upset now. In other words, what's happening right now? And here's another thing I want to talk about to you guys. Is all these disasters that have been happening. One, first earthquakes and firestorms. We just get over the firestorms and half of California's burning, and the next thing you know, we got a giant hurricane coming in on the East Coast, and as soon as we're done with that, we got some new variant coming along, Delta or whatever, and then as soon as we get done with that, we just can't even swipe the sweat off of our brow, and we got another one coming in. like in waves. Here's what I want to point out to you guys, is I've been observing all this and watching these things come in, these natural, call them natural disasters, come in one after another after another. And what I'm starting to see now is my brain is telling me something, screaming it loud and clear to me. My brain is saying that this is defying the natural laws of probability. And every time I see a new one of these disasters coming along before the old one's even swept up, I mean, they can't even sweep up the mess. Big hurricane will come through and knock down all the trees, and they're still in the business of sweeping up the mess, and all of a sudden there's an earthquake, or there's some new pandemic, or just I'm going on and on and on. And my brain is telling me, hey, you know what? This is defying the laws of probability. And as one new disaster comes in after another, my brain keeps saying, hey, this is even more weird. What's going to be next? A meteor from space, or whatever? Or some sunspot is going to come down and knock out all of our electrical grid? What next? It's defying the laws of probability. And in my mind, I think to myself, these laws of probability are natural laws. It's a law of basically math. It's like this. If a guy goes to a casino, and he's rolling the dice, and say 7 is a winning number. He rolls a 7 and he wins, and he doubles his money. Okay? He rolls another 7 again, he doubles his money again. He rolls another 7. Every time he rolls a 7, the odds of him rolling another 7 start to defy the laws of probability. And if he were to do that like 10 times in a row, the casino bosses would be up there behind the double two-way glass, where they can see out but you can't see in. They're watching everything. They got binoculars up there. You've all seen the movies, And they'd be saying to themselves, what's up with this guy? He's been rolling like 10 sevens. He's taking all the money from the casino. He's got piles of money on there, and he's winning and winning and winning. What's up with this guy? What? He's defying the laws of probability. And then they would start to think to themselves, he's got some sort of a racket going. They don't know what it is yet, but they'll figure it out real quick. Some sort of a racket. Maybe he's cheating because he's defying the laws of probability of the casino. And this is how they can spot cheats in a casino. Well, we're sitting here and we're watching all these things happen to us. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is defying the laws of probability. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a 1 in a trillion gazillion that would get all these natural disasters all clustered together in a very short period of time. Maybe it is. Maybe it is just a fluke. Maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe it's a 1 in a trillion shot that we are getting all these natural disasters heaped on top of us in a very short frame of time. Defying the laws of probability naturally. It's just, we just rolled the dice the wrong way. But every time one of these things occurs before we even get this mess swept up on the next one, I'm starting to think to myself, this is strange. What's happening right now? And since it started back in 2019 or whatever, it kind of really got going. We all had our lives out here. We all had normal lives doing our thing. And now this is starting to really interrupt all of us. So that we're like not having normal lives anymore. Our lives are like crap. How else can I put it? All of us are being really, really negatively affected by all of this. And we're all getting worried that it's just a whole bunch of things that are coming at us, and it seems like the sky is starting to fall. And we have no control whatsoever over it. And we should be saying, what in the hell's going on? And our politicians out there. I heard someplace that the root of the word politician is idiot. I heard that someplace. The actual root of the word politician is idiot. An idiot. Is that true? I don't know. I heard that someplace. But it sure does make a lot of sense. Because I'm telling you, they've done every damn thing wrong. You know, I come on my channel when the virus was first starting. It was still over in Wuhan or whatever it is. Wasn't here. Wasn't not one person in North America had the virus. Not one. And you guys can look it up on my show, on my channel. I said that President Trump was still president then. And I said, what they need to do is they need to close all of our borders right now. Close all air traffic. Don't bring any ships in. Don't bring any airplanes in. Don't make everybody stop at the border and not come into our country. Not come in at all. Block them all right then and there. We didn't have one person that had it when I said that. They need to block it. I said right now, and I said on my channel to everyone out there, I said, they need to block it off and not let anybody in or out. And which would have been a drastic measure. But you know what? In all of North America right now, we would still have none. If they had it done, like I said, you know. And it wouldn't have killed us to do that. Just block the people, you know. Ship could come in, you know, just isolate the crew off someplace and unload the cargo with people that don't have it. You know, and we still would have had none here. But the politicians, they don't have the insight. They don't have any smarts. They were out there at that exact same period in time, you know, checking everybody on the airplanes with temperature meter. But they were letting them in. And what they didn't know was that a lot of them had it but didn't show a fever. Duh! Now we're suffering with this thing. I mean suffering with it. Oh my goodness. You know what? I heard over 700,000 people in the United States have expired. Wouldn't that have been worth stopping the borders off? The lives of 700,000 people? But the politicians, they never do anything on time. And now here we got this debt ceiling coming in. And they've been warned. They never get anything done on time. Never get anything done right. Idiots. Well, either that or they're doing it intentionally or whatever, or they're just pure idiots. I don't know, but I mean, it's just, what are we going to do with these people? I mean, haven't we got any one person out there that just doesn't want one thing? There's only one thing these politicians want. They want the power and prestige and money and everything else that goes along with that job. And they try to keep the people pacified. I'm going to tell you what. They're only interested in public relations. That's all they're interested in. They're a bunch of lawyers. Bunch of been through all the levels of college and everything else, you know. And they're like a fraternity. They don't like anybody fitting into their club unless you've been through all of the colleges and stuff with them. You know what I mean? And they're not for the people. They're just for their own self-interest and improving their public relations so that they can basically become more famous within the political structure so that they can get a fatter, cushier, whatever, you know, sit their seat in that premier or president or whatever seat that they're going to sit their ass in. Meanwhile, we, the people out here, we have to suffer from all the stupid policies and stupid mistakes that they make. Shouldn't be this way. The world shouldn't be run this way. They're running it into the ground, right in front of our eyes. And it doesn't seem like we have one of them that's elected into office ever that has any balls to do anything to try to straighten things out correctly. You know? And I'm fed up with the whole works of them. All of them, the kit and caboodle. I'm fed up with what's happening in the world right now. I just want to see the world go back to normal again. Oh, normal would feel so good, you know? The normal we used to have. When we had a world where people were sane and weren't all on meds. Sick world, sick society we're in. I have to have this little rant. I have to get it off my chest, you know. But that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for somehow that all of these disasters that defy the laws of probability just stop all of a sudden, and they stop coming. This chain of disasters, and then we get back to some sort of normal. People want to go back normal. They want to go back normal again. They don't want to be on meds. They don't want to be going half crazy. A lot of them have depression or anxiety or everything. They don't want that. They want to live a normal life. But it's like this is being thrust on us in this last couple years, you know, this just constant state of fear and how's it going to affect our kids? How's it going to affect them later in life mentally? You know, the Great Depression had a terrible effect upon kids. My grandmother grew up through the Great Depression, you know, she had to go out into the woods and she was quite literally cutting the bark. She was just a little kid. She was catching rabbits. I think she was snaring them. And she was scraping the bark off the trees and chewing on the gum that would come out of the pine trees and stuff. She called it goody. She always loved that her whole life. Even when she was like 80 years old, she'd go around in the woods and there's a good gob of gooey. Goody. She called it goody. She'd grab it and stick it in her mouth and start chewing on it like bubble gum. The tar that would come out of the trees, you know. She knew exactly what trees to go for. I think it was spruce or whatever. One of those fir trees or whatever. She knew exactly what it was, though, and she knew exactly what was the good stuff and what was the bad stuff. She called it goody. And she used to get that when she was a kid, you know, I guess to get her vitamin C or whatever. And during the hard times when all they had to eat was rabbits, she snared her family. Her father was sick. He had a big, what do they call that when you got a thyroid growth? You know, it killed him. But she had to take. She said her mother got so hungry that her mother just basically passed out and fell on the ground. Look, like she felt it was like her mother died, you know, but her mother didn't die. She passed out from being of hunger during the Great Depression. And my grandmother went through all that, and you know, it had a profound effect upon her whole life. She became a hoarder. She wouldn't throw anything away. But it had a profound effect, the trauma that she experienced during the Great Depression. And you think that this is not what's happening now, is not going to have trauma on the kids out there? Locking them all up in their house? And you can't go out, you can't do this, you gotta have your mask, you gotta clean your hands. It's going to turn them into a bunch of, they won't be able to function in society. We're going to have a whole generation that won't be able to function properly. They're going to be like, anywhere they go, they'll have to have their baby blanket with them. They'll have to be like Linus on the Snoopy, and you know, in the cartoons. They have to have his blankie with them. They'll have to have their face mask with them all the time, and breathing apparatus or whatever else. They're going to be insecure, and they're going to have like go anywhere. They'll have like, what's that they call it? The fear of the marketplace, when somebody wants to stay at home all the time in bed, wrapped in blankets or whatever, because they're scared of everything. That's how they're going to be. A whole generation of them. How are we going to expect them to make the food for us? When they'll have a panic attack even going to the farm. What's the first day on work going to be like if you got a generation of kids? Well, they'll have to take meds. And, of course, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are fully happy to produce all these meds and jack the price up higher and higher and higher. Who's going to pay for all that? And then we got the pharmaceutical companies making an awful lot more on these different shots, and they're going to have all this money, you know? But in the end, what good is the money if there's no food? If our food production is because what are we training all these kids to do anyway? Are we training them to be farmers? We should be. We should be training them to not be frightful like that. I mean, it should be raised in a wholesome environment, like maybe the Mennonite kids or whatever. You know, I mean, they're in an isolated community, and in a lot of these Mennonite communities and stuff. You know, and their kids are going to be raised in a certain amount of being hedged off against this more than other kids, you know, because in these communities and stuff, they have more of a lifestyle that's more normal and back to the earth, you know, where they don't have so many modern conveniences. They don't have cars. They ride around buggies and stuff. I think that's a good thing. I think us as a world society, if we were to take 2 steps back away from where we're going and move back into a lifestyle that was more like we had in the 1800s or something, because everything's getting messed up now to the point where it's going to be beyond repair. I don't like where all this is going, ultimately, in the end, you know, and the computer seems to be what's doing it all to us. Computer technology and everything, moving advancing too fast. Instead of taking a step back and saying, hey, you know, computers are great and everything, but that's not where our food comes from. I don't know what the solution to all of it is, but it's just a total mess that we're heading into. In the next couple years, you know, our money has got a flaw in it too. A huge flaw. Started when the Federal Reserve was put in action. Huge flaw in our money. Our money is basically worthless. Doesn't have any backing. Well, it did have backing until 1971. Nixon stood up there, another one of these idiot politicians, stood up there in front of the crowd and said, we are temporarily, how did he put it? He said, we are temporarily taking us off the gold standard to stop the speculators. What speculators? Yeah, well, they wanted some, they weren't speculators. You know what they were? They were people wanting something real behind their money. Gold. They wanted the gold. They didn't want the crap money that Nixon was trying to shove down their throat. They shoved it down their throat anyway. We stopped the speculators. We stopped the people who want a normal world. We just want all you abnormal people who are willing to accept our abnormal money that's absolutely worth nothing, and run with that until finally it breaks. What, 2022? And all of you don't have any money because the money wasn't real money to begin with. Then what are you going to do? When a can of beans costs $100, how are you going to feed your kids? They just move us from one crisis to another. And all we just want to work at our jobs. We want to do a good job for the people and not have all this garbage shoved down our throats anymore. Thank you guys for listening to my rant. You guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.